Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome back to a special episode of Lost Without Japan. This is your Kanko Guido and guide for your day trip episodes of Lost Without Japan and our interview episodes. If you're following along right now by video, hello. If you're following along by audio, that is wonderful as well. If you are a member of our Patreon and you saw Maurice and I talking for about 10 minutes or so before things, doing our selfless promotions of products that aren't endorsing us, you could have seen that before playing too. Links and things that are here are in our show notes. But we're here to talk because if you did not know, your day is about to be made because Maurice, friend of the show, founding member of our Scones Club and, day trip talks and things that we've had on so many different times, creator of Ganbate, is here to talk about his Kickstarter that is up and running currently. So if you didn't know that, you do now. And we'll put links to all of this in our show notes. On this day of release, it's going to be July 20th. 3 a.m. for those of you that want to know when this is released. Normally, if you can't wait for the next episode, if you are, wake up, set your alarm for 3:01 a.m. Central Standard Time. New episode should be in your favorite podcasting streaming service, and you can have it. But like I said, his Kickstarter is up and running, but please do not waste any time. Go check it out. He's done so much. I told him we'll get him on. He's on, but you'll hear his sultry voice here in a moment. But he put in a ton of work to this. And when I was scrolling through his Kickstarter and looking at everything that was there, and even when I went to go, pay for my book and things like that, there's all of these different add-ons. There's so much. I thought you had a lot when you did Ganbate, Maurice, but I was wrong. I was wrong. Let me tell you. So I'm going to hand this over to you.
Thank you. And hello to everyone out there. It's always a pleasure to be back. I will say this, though. Within 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I had an email from Kickstarter stating that my project for Dreams 2.0, the photo book, had just been awarded their Projects We Love badge. And that's their way of highlighting examples of creative brilliance. Their words, not mine. So, no, all joking aside, to get that honor, to get it again, because Ganbate got the same badge, and Ganbate is a project that I'm extremely proud of. And then I feel with Dreams 2.0, everything I learned during the process of making Ganbate, I've taken that to Dreams 2.0 and expanded upon it and just leveraged that experience to make a better project. And it feels really, really great to have that recognized. I don't know if any of you have ever created a Kickstarter page, but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. In a way, in a sense, it's almost like creating a website in a way, and formatting and this and that and making headers and subheadings and things like that. And it takes some time, and there's an art to it and a flow to it. And when you get it right, it feels really, really cool. And for Dreams 2.0, I think it's just an excellent example of not only the platform that Kickstarter gives you, but also another way to express your creativity when it comes to how you format and design your page. For instance, I'll give you one example. In the video, I shot some B-roll of a model holding the book and flipping through the book. And so there was something that people didn't quite understand about the book, is that Dreams 2.0 has two sides to it. And I would be showing the two covers, and some people would ask me, they're like, are there two versions of the book? Is there a version A and a version B with different covers? And I'm like, no. I said, the book has both covers. And they're like, how does that work? So it was imperative to shoot video to show that whenever you finished one half of the book, you physically flip it over. And there is the other cover, which is the second story. because Dreams 2.0 is comprised of two stories, two dreams per se, of our two protagonists, Sakura and Rin. So you each book gets both covers, and one denotes one side and the other denotes the other side. And so it was important to me to find a way to, if you didn't want to watch the video, to showcase that action of getting to the half, flipping it over, and starting the other story on the page. And
Yeah.
so Kickstarter allowed me to embed a GIF that just cycled that action over again. And I got a message. People like, oh, now I get it. It's two-sided. And a lot of people had never seen a two-sided book before, and so it's really cool. And I remember whenever we had our event in Tokyo, and people would get to the center, and it would start if like the end, there would be credits in the center, and they're like, "What?" And then they flip it over, and then you see like this light bulb moment. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And it was really cool to watch them just kind of like experiencing that in person and watching someone like they're like, "Oh, this is the second half of this." It's really cool. It's really cool. So just be able to show that visually on a Kickstarter page was great. Thank you to Kickstarter for recognizing it and giving it the Projects We Love badge.
Well, you know what happened, Maurice? I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I'm sure the reason that they reached out to you about, projects that they love was because they heard, A, you're going to be on the show, and that this show is being promoted by UCC Coffee here. Look at that artesian blend of iced coffee that we were talking about. I'm sure that's what, not the fact that you, did an amazing page that's chock full of enough information to make you have to make a snack and come back and finish. It's a commitment to work through all of that you have that's there. You have so much information, so much. And like you said, it's not a project that is in the process of being made. This is a project that you have a physical
Mhm.
book. For those of you that heard us talk about your Tokyo show, you even said that you did this and then you were thinking about adding additional photos to your book and things like that. So it's just something that keeps on giving. But like I said, I already booked it. And for those of you that are listening, it may not be there because now that it has projects you love, it's probably gone, maybe potentially by a thing, but that you have. But
Well, there are
well,
there are certain tiers. There are some higher tiers that are mostly gone. There are some like early bird sort of like special books that it's like, hey, look, for the first 10 or 20 people that buy this, you get a few bucks off. Those are almost gone. So
yes,
please get those as quickly as you can. And interesting thing is like I have to be able to cover the expenses for the production of the book, right?
yes,
But for the first people, because there was like a momentum thing. I forget what there was a philosophy around the first supporter, right? Like when someone starts dancing at a party,
yes,
and then the first person looks crazy, but the first person that comes and joins them to make it two people dancing looking stupid, that person is integral, to say, oh, it's okay, we can do this.
yes,
And so I want to reward those people who kind of come in and say, hey, look, we believe in what you're doing. Let's rock and roll. And so some of the early bird stuff was good. Most of the first edition prints are gone.
yes.
But please, if it's available when this comes out, please pick one up because the first editions, I'm very serious about that. As a photographer, a lot of ways that photographers do make money is making editions of their prints. And for the GTR print and then also the Fuji print and Fuji Yoshida, the first edition of this Kickstarter, the first edition of those prints is for this Kickstarter only. There isn't going to be a situation where like, oh, well, maybe he'll put on their website later on. No, those will be second or third editions at that point. So if you want to get a hand signed and hand numbered first edition of either of those prints, this is where to get it. And if I'm being perfectly honest, now that the project has the Projects We Love thing, it will only make those prints more valuable down the road. So if you are interested in the first edition of something, I would suggest going and getting if they're still there. But yeah, the project is cool. I could talk about this ad nauseum because it was a joy to make, and I think it's new and unique and different than what a lot of people are doing. And I think it's worth the investment because I've invested a lot personally.
Well, I think you can go through a lot, my friend, and I think one of the things that is wonderful about those of us that do love photography as one, Japan as another. There's so many different things that you can go into that itch that itch when you are very much invested into something in your own life, right? And us looking to go back. And I think in some ways that's kind of the beauty of it is that you can find something that stands out because so many people are doing so many amazing things
Hmm.
and you see those people that are kind of standing upon others that you might see, hey, here's, some, shots from Tokyo. And anyone that is kind of perused through Instagram or social medias or whatever it is that's here, you see some amazing work that people are doing that, when they're doing things. But when you notice something that is different, but different, in that good way that you're like, wait a moment, as you're kind of scrolling through it. And it really makes you take note of what's going on. And I feel that is very much what you have here because I will admit right now, as one of those people that when you showed the covers was like, whoa, Maurice, I'm going to need both covers. And you're like, no, Mike, it's one book. You told me that, but there's just a part of me that you didn't even think about it. It was just one of those things where it's like I saw both covers and it wasn't even a decision of mine. I was just like, well, I have to have both. Like, I don't care if that means buying two books, I need both of these because they both look amazing. I can't choose. It's like choosing between my son and my daughter, like my son and my daughter. Don't make me do that. Like don't make me do that, right? So, like you like Maurice, it's like not to slight anybody else that's doing these projects because anyone that goes through making a photo book or doing a project of their own, whatever it is, they've invested so much time in this. But really, from your end of things, not only have you created this book that I feel is a unique experience, a unique idea, but man, you also went halfway around the world to promote what you've done. So I don't know, man. Like it's really like how much did you invested time wise? What were some changes that you made to your book from that? Like when we were in Tokyo versus what is going to be coming out in Kickstarter.
Okay, so to not give people too much details, so my book, I feel in my heart of hearts, is different than any other photo book that Westerners or tourists or people that don't live in Japan have made. I feel like I made a wholly unique book. And I say that not to pat myself on the back, but I remember at the event in Tokyo, Japanese people and foreigners who live in Japan came up to me and were like, "How long have you lived in Japan?" And I said, "I don't live here." And they're like, "How did you make this book?" They were like flabbergasted because the book follows two women in their separate lives. It flows in a very clear narrative way, but in a visual sense. And it feels so robust and so complete to people that I've never spoken to. They immediately thought this had to have been made by someone who lives in Japan.
Yep.
That they were flabbergasted.
Your
Not a
cover.
single person thought that it was a book made by a tourist.
Yeah.
Not a single person. And so that to me said, I'm on the right track, right? I'm on the right track. So when I think about a lot of like the popular Japan books, and a lot of them are cyberpunk stuff, and that's not really my realm or my purview, so I don't really do that. But I own those books, and they're really nice bodies of work, very large, really awesome bodies of work. And I really think it's cool that has introduced Japan photography to so many people. It's been a wonderful gateway for people for photography of Japan and Tokyo and other cities and things like that. And we can't diminish that impact. I'm here partially because of that, right? But all of those books have a very distant. There are no central characters. There are no people that you kind of get attached to. Most of it, or almost all of it, is almost solely exteriors. Like it's just street views, cityscapes, observatories.
Hmm.
If it is a person in the frame, it's a person on the street, so they can photograph them because, as you know, in Japan, you can get in trouble for photographing someone without their permission. If they're like, hey, don't take my photo, and you do it, you can get in trouble for that. So for me, creating Dreams 2.0 meant that I had to form enough or thorough enough or deep enough connections with people to find creatives that would allow me into their lives, where I would spend enough time with them to build these characters. I rented locations, I rented wardrobes, I hired makeup artists, I hired a producer. So this book, the expenditure that goes into this is so much more than I spent 2 weeks walking around Tokyo and got cityscape photos. There's nothing wrong with those books.
Yep.
There's a segment of that in my book as well. But I can say with no hesitation that there is an added deeper layer within my book that those other books do not have. And that's not shade. It is objective fact. My book has a deeper layer of human connection and human involvement. They're central to the story that I think is unique to this book, so much so that when people looked at it, they thought that someone who lived in Japan made it. And to me, that is a crowning achievement. I can't, that is super dope to me. And on top of that, I hired a Japanese graphic designer to create the kanji on the cover to bring it all together. Because dream in Japanese is yume, and yume, the kanji for yume is on the cover. And, you know, it was cool to get it because it looks amazing. You know, the cover looks amazing. But I remember what was really special for me because I held the event in Tokyo and Shimokitazawa to invite people like the actresses who were in it, you know, my producer, other people. And I told people about, hey, come down, check it out. Some of their friends and their families came through and supported the book, bought some stickers and stuff. That was really cool. But the graphic designer who I'd ever only spoken to online, he came too. And I remember I was in the venue and it was pretty packed. And I see this dude walk up and there's a sandwich board out front with with two posters on it of cover A and cover B of Haruka and of Lisa on both sides. And I saw this guy walk up and I saw his eyes get like super big, you know? And his name is Tora. And I said, that has to be Tora. It has to be him. And he walks in and we had this moment where I'm just like, man, I connected something that even Japanese people are excited about. And that's, you know, this dude, I paid him. Like, he didn't have to show up. You know, he could have just been nice, but this guy left his home and came to an event to see his work because he felt that I was doing it justice. That makes me feel so good. I cannot stress to people enough how good it feels to have creatives in the space with work that they're proud of. And it come from a person who don't even live there. That is beautiful to me. Man, it feels so good. It feels so good. And to know that I can share the book with people, it just feels amazing. I want everyone to go out and do things, you know, do creative stuff. I want everybody to do it. If you're feeling like I'm feeling right now, I want you to go do it, you know? So it's cool. But you did ask a question. You said, how is it going to change from the book that's in Tokyo, to the book that's now, right? So another double-sided or added benefit of that event was to get how people read the book. Like, how did it hit you? And me, I'm very much, I love film. I love abstract filmmaking. I love breadcrumbing. I love just loose storytelling. I love big gaps in narratives where, like, I'm going to let this person fill it whatever they want to because their version of this is the correct version for them. But some people were like, you know what? Your sequencing, I would have liked this here as opposed to here. Or this page break, it broke up the sequencing for me when I was still like digesting this image. And so that's something to think about. No, nothing's going to be like, when I say nothing's going to change, the story is still the story. But what I can do is change sequencing, move images around, change the negative space. Maybe if one image is like has a smaller image, maybe I can change it to full bleed to like make the impact larger on the full page. So stuff like that. I do want to add a few pages. Like for instance, the GTR print and then the Fuji print, they're not in the Tokyo version of the book. they're going to be in the version of the Kickstarter version. So those will be in there as well. I don't know which side is going to get either picture or both or whatever, but they're going to be in the book. So there's going to be some really cool, like, just things to make it more, what's the word? I don't want to say literal because I'm not going to make it super literal, but I'm going to give you some stuff to kind of like beef up the book, more images, help it flow better, tighten up the sequencing. Also, you and I had a conversation about prints and things like that, and how like you print it and then you see, oh, it's not, maybe I did something wrong or I missed something. One thing I'm going to do is there are a few images where I wanted it to be super dark to kind of give like this impression that the character is kind of like sitting in isolation. That was a choice, but whenever it was printed, I'm like, "Oh, this is way dark." So it looks almost like insidious, like almost
Yes.
like scary, but that's not the point. The whole point is to make it look like she's just kind of like isolated. So I'm gonna bring those black levels up a little bit, still make sure that we get the whole feeling of isolation, but not make it look like us in a horror film. Because some of the shots like it's like, oh, that's scary looking. That's not what I intended. So just making sure that the artistic interpretation is more clear, some added photos, just better color grading on a few things, sequencing touch ups. It's going to be the better version of the book, or no, a different version, because I love the very hands off, kind of like loose, like, what the fuck what does that mean? What does that mean? But other people are like, yo, tell me what it means. Don't give me this, So there was also a mystery to the book, and I will leave. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. There was a mystery to the book that I don't want to just spill the beans, but I thought about putting like an envelope in there, like, yo, and printing like, don't read this until you looked at the book a couple times.
Yes.
Because there was very much the way that I wrote it and how it ends is I'm intrigued about that. That gets me excited about it because like every time I look through the book and I made it, I'm thinking, well, what about this and what about this and does this mean more than this and does that take precedent over this? It's just I love the book so much. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Great, my friend.
A last product I did that was an art show. It wasn't a book. It was an art show called Akiko Formless Woman. And a lot of the Japanese and stuff, it was about a woman, and it's like narrative art show. And it's about a woman who dreams of being a fashion model. And I love it. Haruka was in it. Haruka is also in Dreams 2.0, but Haruka was a central character of this book. And I crafted all these fake like marketing ads for clothing and suits and motorcycles and teen pop magazines and modeling magazines. And I modeled it after Japanese books and things like that, right? And also kind of American blended style, like 80s and 90s sort of ad mock-ups and things like that. I love the product. It's one of my favorites ever. But when I showed it to Japanese people, they're like, "Oh, a foreigner made this."
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, clearly you're not Japanese." And it was like from the font selections to the wording to the kanji used to how much katakana is used, like borrow words and stuff like that. It was so clear that an American or someone who doesn't speak Japanese made this. And I'm like, oh, dang. But they were like, this is fine, but we know you're not Japanese. So for Dreams 2.0, it was important. And even with the translating, most of the translations are machine translations, right? And so I'm sure that they can know that the tone is off or the formality is off or here or there, but it was also to demonstrate my dedication to making a project that also felt viable for Japanese audiences. That's why it was so important to me to make a book or to make those connections with Japanese creatives or people who are working in Japan, speaking with women, making those connections and building those relationships with Japanese creatives and those working and living in Japan, it helped me continue that trajectory of making projects that felt genuine and within the scope of something that they would make, right? Because if you're just going around and taking exterior shots outside in public places, with no involvement from anyone who lives there. There's no character that it's focusing on. You don't really need to say, oh, this is also a Japanese project. You could. It would be nice if you did that. The level of involvement or the lack of involvement with Japanese people or Japanese creatives doesn't warrant it because there is none. But with my book, it's they're on the team. Japanese people are on the team. Japanese people are the two leads. My producer's Japanese. You know, I have some side characters or like characters that kind of like make up friends. They're Japanese. And so it's for the cast to be almost entirely Japanese. There's a few people that are half, but everyone else is just Japanese. It's like, okay, this has to read true and authentic and genuine to them as well. So it was important to me that if I go over to Japan and make a project and hire Japanese people, I'm not going to then come to America and make a page that's fully in English and pretend like the Japan angle doesn't exist. So I felt duty bound to make it accessible to Japanese people as well, because from the ground up, outside of me paying for everything and writing it and photographing it, a lot of this was built by Japanese people. Like I directed it, I wrote it, I paid for it, sure. But the nuance, the accuracy, the performances, Japanese, entirely Japanese. So that was very, very important for me to express to them. Hey, look, I didn't just go back to America and forget about you. You're going to be represented in this page as well.
Love it, my friend. And just the fact too is that anybody that follows Maurice through his Instagram sees, he's doing a lot of photography, and it's not just Japan that is what he is doing. But selfishly, I want for him to be, taken into Japan society as a photographer, not just, and like in this book, this wasn't, I'm sure through their eyes, it's not just a book on Japan, right? This is a photography book that just happens to have taken place in Japan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your setting could have been anywhere, but I'm like, they're looking at this. But I want you to become popular enough that you're just adopted there. And then when I'm living in Japan, you have to too, because you'll just be like that national treasure that they can't let leave the country. So, that's what I've got.
That it's funny that you mentioned that, and I'm honored that you would mention my photography because I'm having fun. And before I left Japan after the event for Dreams 2.0, I was able to link up with a couple of Japanese modeling agencies, and we got to do some shoots with some of the models on their roster. And it's crazy when you meet models, male and female, who are being set up to be on the world stage. Like these are the models who are going to be walking the stage for Louis Vuitton and Gucci and YSL and I'm not even someone who knows much about fashion, but the way that they're built and they present themselves and the way that they is so different. And I come from a filmmaking background. And, so to meet these people who were like 5'11", 6'2", super slender, completely in control of their bodies, it's so wild to me. But they're so easy to shoot with because they know exactly what they're doing. And so also, to be perfectly honest with you, communicating with the Japanese modeling agencies was so clear and so easy because it was like cover this base, cover that base, make sure we're on page with this. It was like my dream. It was like, oh, we're on the same page. We've answered everyone's questions. This is wonderful. Like there's no stone left unturned. And setting up those shoots with the modeling agencies was so easy. It was so easy. And I got some photos out of there with like stellar models who like gosh, there was one model named Hikari. Like a couple months after I shot with Hikari, she had a spread in Harper's Bazaar. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, so it's already happening." Like the Harper's Bazaar is a big deal, you know? And so you see these people and you're getting to photograph them and then they're off to the races already. And it's pretty wild. And I think that another set that I helped out with is going to be published in a magazine soon. It's in communication already. So it's weird when people are serious, they're real serious. And when the Japanese commit to you and allow you into the world, they're not playing around. It's to do business. And so Shooting with them in the photo shoots was awesome. The talent was awesome. You can check out a couple of those shoots on my page, my Instagram page. And the ones where I assisted that are going for publication, I'll be sure to link those whenever they come out. I'm excited about those. So that's very, very cool.
Oh, it's I think too, like, I think they recognize in the fact that, like, you have to build relationships to get to where you're at, right? You're not no one I couldn't walk in today and say, "Hey, I saw this book," you know, this photo book or this ad, have, no connection with you, but I'd like to shoot your models, and I have this idea. I wouldn't even get through the front door, you know what I mean? Like, so you have those relationships, you're building them, you're continuing to build them, you're getting things from that, and I can't be more excited just to see, not just what now is happening. And again, Kickstarter going now. Go check it out. You can see I didn't take one of the discounted rates. They're probably gone already by the time of this, but if they're not, you can, or if one of the big ones is still there, or you have the prints. There's lots of add-ons and things that you can go through. One of Maurice's add-ons that I have for me, I'm hoping is going to help, keep me locked in for saving for my daughter and I on our trip and things. And I'm sure if anything's going to do it, it's going to be, what I'm getting from you, my friend. It's going to make the difference now. What is your final day that you have for your Kickstarter, my friend?
I think the final day is August 5th or August 6th, I remember,
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
by Thursday, August 6th. Okay.
So please don't wait until then. Being on now Kickstarter's projects we love stuff. What it happens is they show it to more people. They feature in their emails. So if there is something that you might want to get,
That's right, buddy. That's right. We're living vicariously through each other, right? Each other. And tell you, my friend, like you said, it's not just the book, and the book is it alone. You have a lot going on with that, my friends. And even let's say you are not at a point financially that you can, go through because, hey, it happens and it is going on. But my friend, please go check out his page, even if you're not able to see all the effort that he has put in. And if you are someone that is able to and, like able to support, please, do that as well. You are not going to be disappointed. And I got to tell you, after you go in and you back the project, then you can sit down with some of your UCC iced coffee and take in the rest of this page because not only is there so much available to you on this book, there are so many different videos, there are, so many different shots. You are almost told Maurice overwhelmed with the amount of information that you're getting from this.
I
And
had
I
to be
understand,
thorough.
and he is thorough, my friends. If you want the
Also,
definition of thorough, it is here and it is worth it so much. Not only are you seeing this amazing book in parts of it, at least you don't get to see the whole thing. You can also see pictures from his Formless Woman solo show, and you see some things from this and see that Maurice is not just a wonderful human being, but a talented artist and photographer. So
I try. I
please check out those show notes, check those links, click on it, and don't feel bummed about missing out.
And I will add this. I know that when it comes to Kickstarter, when people give money up front for something, and there's a level of risk to that. But I want you to know that you can rest assured because not only have I done this before, or with Gambate, it wasn't like this mystery where like, oh, can I actually do it? I've done it before. I'm printing with the same people. I'm speaking with the same woman who printed my books last time, 3 years ago. So we have this rapport there. This book has already been shot, right? Physical editions of it already does exist. This is for the updated version, for the Kickstarter version. So you can rest assured that there isn't going to be like some weird disconnect where it's like, where does that go? Is he ever going to get finished? Yes, it will get finished because the book is already finished. But I will say this, and for people who are unfamiliar with Kickstarter, Kickstarter is an all or nothing platform. I set a very reasonable goal just to basically because I don't want to have 1,000 copies of this book sitting in my house extra. So I'm only printing off the number that people have purchased because that's all that's really needed. I have my copies. That's all my friends have their copies. So that ensures that whatever you buy, it maintains its value. Like, hey, look, there's not going to be 8,000 of these books. There's just not going to be. So know that. And that's special. But in it being all or nothing, it's like If this doesn't make its goal because you're like, oh, I'm going to wait or this or that, the book just doesn't get made. That I
Yes.
have my copies from Japan, and that's that. Mike doesn't get his book because
Please,
it didn't meet the
please help
goal.
me out. That's
So,
right.
and don't do that to Mike. Don't do that to him. But no, the all or nothing aspect of Kickstarter is very serious. So if you're even remotely curious about it, go ahead, make your pledge. Check it out. The book I think is reasonably priced for the amount of money that I spent on this project, from travel, hotel, early prints, production mock-ups, things like that. I'm not too worried about that stuff. But what I'm more worried about is this is my best photo project yet, without a doubt. And it's my most ambitious one to date, without a doubt. And I know that when people get in their hand and they absorb it and what it's trying to do, they're gonna love it. And that's what I want. I want the joy of knowing that someone who lives 3,000 miles away from me flips over this book, absorbs the second half, flips it over again, absorbs it again, looks at the landscapes, the cityscapes, the Fuji prints, also absorbs the stories about these two women. And he's like, what is tying them together? I want that experience for everybody because I think it's a good one. And then after that, I think you'll go to other Tokyo books and you'll be like, where are the people at?
And I agree, buddy. Yeah, just don't miss out. And both for anyone that's been a part of our show or follows Maurice or follows myself or our good time talks and our scone clubs and all those different things that we have. We are a fan of physical media, and we were kind of talking even before we started recording with everything how it is now becoming more and more digital. This is not bad, right? And the thing is, with this, not only are you helping to support Maurice and his doing future projects because I want that selfishly. If you're listening to this and following along, will want this too. But the thing is, this is something you own. You will own it forever. This is yours. Whenever you want to open it again, it is there. It's not behind a paywall. It's not, rights bought by someone else, and you have to have a subscription service to enjoy this. This is just yours, my friends, and this is
And you can let
something.
someone borrow it. You can share it with a friend.
That's right. Like, yeah, yeah. Maurice isn't going to hunt you down because you're sharing with your family your password and ask you to pay more. So and that's it. Like in a way, that's the biggest form of flattery and compliment in some ways that you could get for a book, Maurice. Is after somebody has something, is someone that takes the time to share with their friends, their family, people they care about, your work, right? Not only did they read this, look at this, take this in, have the story for themselves, but take the time to share this. And if you are someone that checks out the page and can't support Maurice financially, and again, in this project, that's either he makes enough money to have this go live or it doesn't. If you can't and you appreciate this, share this with friends and family and with other people that might be able to. Because, hey, guess what? Even if you can't buy it, one of your friends buys it, I bet they're going to let you borrow it. So, like take this in, take it all. And just thank you, Maurice, for setting aside some time today on this wonderful July day. I loved hanging out with you. Always love hanging out with you. And anything last you want to say before we call this a wrap?
Just thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for listening. I consider my book a big win for creativity, and getting a projects, getting Kickstarter's projects we love badge. It feels good to have my hard work recognized because it was very difficult. But that just goes to show you that there's still places out there that are still recognizing creativity and creators and people who are really doing what they love. So support my book, please. I love that if you could, and then also support other artists as well.
No doubt about it, Maurice. Thank you again, my friend. I'm going to be reaching out to you and David and our Scone Club friends and family. Because we have some anniversary timing coming up that we need to talk about, wrapping up our 5th year of recording. And I can't wait to sit down 5 years from now, Maurice, and promote that next book project, whatever it is. Selfishly, one day, a movie, go from there, buddy. So to everyone out there, oh, Ginky Day, stay well, my friends, and truly just appreciate all of you so much. I say that, but with talking about more, talking with Maurice and talking to Evans here, for all of you that are clicking and downloading and made it to the end to this point, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I see you. It may be only in number form. I interact with you on Instagram, but I know there's plenty of you that just press play and listen. And even though we are not together, I know it feels like the person that you're listening to. I've had plenty of podcasts and things that I've had, or like I tell Maurice when I look at his photos, that connection that I have with the people that aren't even him, that I feel that I have this connection to, this event with, this moment with. I could not be happier in sharing it with you. And if things are going wonderfully, I hope they continue to. And if they aren't, they will get better. And if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm always here for you. And that includes if I'm in Japan and I don't know what I would want to do in a day, reach out. I'm happy to set something up for you. So again, thank you all. And, go invest in that coffee, my friends. Later.